All right, something interesting is happening behind the scenes in the smartphone world, and it involves Samsung trying to take power back from Qualcomm. For the past few years, Qualcomm has basically been the king of Android flagship chips with its Snapdragon 8 series processors. Most premium Android phones use it, and even Samsung itself has been relying heavily on Snapdragon chips for its own flagship phones. In fact, if you look at the current Samsung Galaxy S26 lineup, around 75% of the models are powered by Snapdragon chips. That's a huge number. But now, Samsung wants to change that. And their new weapon is a chip called the Exynos 2700. This chip is being built using Samsung's second-generation 2nm technology, which is extremely advanced. Smaller numbers like 2nm basically mean the chip can be more powerful while using less energy. So in theory, this could be a very big upgrade. Now, here's where things get interesting. Reports from Yonhap News Agency say that Samsung already finished designing the architecture of this chip by the end of 2025. That means the blueprint for the processor is done. Right now, Samsung's mobile division, also known as Samsung MX, is already testing early versions of the chip. And according to the leaked production timeline, production-ready samples could arrive between May and June this year. That's pretty early. Why does that matter? Because the next flagship phone, the Samsung Galaxy S27, is expected to launch early next year. If Samsung already has working chips months before launch, it means they're rushing the project to be ready on time. Samsung clearly wants the Exynos 2700 inside a lot of those S27 phones. Analysts are predicting that about 50% of the Galaxy S27 lineup could use this chip instead of Snapdragon. Think about that for a second. Samsung wants to cut Qualcomm's dominance almost in half. And there's also a massive money reason behind this move. Reports say Samsung could save more than 11 trillion Korean won, which is roughly $7.8 billion, if it uses more of its own chips instead of buying from Qualcomm. That's a lot of money. So the plan is simple. Make a powerful chip, put it in half of the Galaxy S27 phones, reduce reliance on Qualcomm, and keep more profit inside Samsung. But here's the problem. Right now, the actual performance of this chip is still a mystery. The only real thing we've seen so far is a Geekbench test leak. Geekbench is a benchmarking platform that measures how fast processors perform. A tipster shared a listing that supposedly shows an early Exynos 2700 prototype, and the results were, honestly, a little strange. The prototype chip reportedly had 10 CPU cores, which is unusual for a flagship processor. Most flagship chips today use 8 cores. Even more surprising, the OpenCL graphics score was not very impressive. That means the graphics performance, which is important for gaming and heavy apps, didn't look very strong. Now, to be fair, this was an early engineering board, sometimes called an ERD board. These early prototypes are usually not optimized yet. Clock speeds may be lower, drivers may not be finished, power management may not be tuned, so it's possible the chip will perform much better later. But until we see new benchmarks, we really don't know. Another big question is heat. Previous Exynos chips sometimes had problems with overheating and efficiency compared to Snapdragon. Samsung reportedly knows this and is trying to fix it with better heat management technology in the Exynos 2700. If they can actually control heat and improve efficiency, that would be a huge win. Because performance today isn't just about raw speed. It's about sustained performance, how long the chip can stay fast without slowing down. This is exactly where Snapdragon chips from Qualcomm have been very strong. So Samsung has a big challenge ahead. They're trying to compete not just with Qualcomm, but also with chip giants like TSMC, which is known for having the best semiconductor manufacturing in the world. Samsung's new 2nm process, called SF2P, needs to deliver strong performance and good manufacturing yields. If the yields are low, production becomes expensive and slow. If the yields are good, Samsung can produce a lot of chips efficiently. And that's exactly what they need if they want half of the Galaxy S27 phones to use Exynos. Right now, analysts like Park Yuok from Kiwoom Securities believe Samsung could realistically reduce its reliance on Qualcomm to about 50% in the Galaxy S27 series. But again, all of this depends on one thing: real performance. If the Exynos 2700 ends up being fast, efficient, and cool, Samsung could finally bring Exynos back to the flagship spotlight. But if the performance is weak, then Samsung might still have to depend on Snapdragon again. For now, Qualcomm probably isn't too worried, because until Samsung shows real benchmark numbers that compete with Snapdragon, this whole story is still based on promises and early leaks. But one thing is clear: the chip war inside flagship Android phones is heating up again, and the Galaxy S27 might be where the real battle begins. Now, the big question is, can Samsung's 2nm Exynos 2700 finally challenge Snapdragon, or will Qualcomm stay on top again?